Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 12th of July. Okay, so what we've got in store today then. Firstly, let's look at the fundamentals that are due out, and we've got the core inflation data, the PPI, coming out. Now this is the sort of the earlier reading of inflation. then it eventually travels through to the consumer price index. That's the actual prices that consumers pay. The PPI is the producer's price index. So we often see, if you go into the detail, you see the input prices and output prices as they used to be referred to, and they would show this sort of inflation that could be coming through the feed chain effectively. Sometimes that inflation is just carried by the companies, but often when you see it as output on the output figures, it suggests that then either the retailer or the consumer is going to be picking it up. So important numbers, not to be underestimated these days, particularly when we're looking so much at potential inflation moves. Yesterday's data there, inflation wise, it came in slightly softer than expected, and boy did we see a few moves there, short-lived for some of them. So inflation today, inflation yesterday. Now I can't remember. Oh no, I've got this on here. This was actually euro dollar yesterday. I was just talking about this. I mean, it flew up there, flew up with the data only really, and it's back to this is a regression line using that high, the previous high there, and the low. So taking the high and the low, and price is basically in line with where you might have expected it to be, bearing in mind it had already started picking up before the news. So maybe we'll see more of the same today, but this often happens on data. So just if you don't look at them, it often happens and comes back. And now it was in an upward trend. Maybe we'll see it turning point here today. Let's just look at the dailies here. It's made it a little bit more messy. I was looking for the potential for it to run into its yearly pivot. It's come somewhat short of that, almost too short of it for it to be counting. It's unlike this last move here where we saw it run up in June and it air kissed it. This time, well, perhaps it's got the chance to come back up. We'll see. It was already starting to move that way, as I said. So it's got the higher lows into the market. It could have been just a fifth wave, and we're going to see a bigger correction, but or it could be the first major, more significant wave with an ABC still to come in here to the downside. So just got to tread a bit carefully with it. A break of the pivot here, break of this low over here, gives us a lower high. So that would suggest, well, it will come down, maybe only as low as the 50 MA. Previous lows, there's a bit of confluence around that sort of area. It could just choke this morning with the data that's due out later. See what I did there. Okay, it's a poet, if only I know it. Right, the pound, it did run into its R2 yesterday, and again, reaction of those sort of levels. As its monthly R2 it ran into yesterday, and its weekly R2. There's some confluence for you, and then it ran through to its daily R3. So all in all, it was always going to have a hard time up there. But again, if I was to put a regression channel on this, this is pretty much back to where it's sort of the original trend. I'd like to see this morning, and for me to be looking at this on the longer side, I'd be looking for the break of the highs of this current bar around about that level, to give me a bit more confirmation that it is running to the upside. It's a very simple, it's a sort of flaggy pattern coming through, which would be drawing the lines. An ugly flag, but it's a flag. US dollar yen, so still looking at effectively the pound, the euro, and the bigger picture still to run upwards. The US dollar yen, now what we're going to see here then is this just another opportunity to get back into the long side. This was actually going to the upside here. It was softening effectively the yen against the dollar. The dollar was pushing showing its muscle, but one hell of a move there yesterday, right off back to its yearly pivot. Now, when I looked at this a while back, and I was looking at the yearly pivot as a potential target, I thought, yeah, it's quite a way down there, but crikey, did it happen quickly. Um, we'll see what it does here this morning. It'll give us a bit more of a guide, perhaps, or it may just consolidate. The new news might, any sort of strengthening in PPI might see this push back towards its R1. But yeah, there's not been a convincing price action prior to that move there yesterday, and I do wonder whether maybe the central bank they jumped on board and decided just pumping into and selling the dollar at the same time, getting a bit more bang for the buck in terms of trying to move the market and strengthen the yen. But I don't know. Anyway, let's see what it does today. The key thing is if it starts breaking here. Now, I was last week, or the week before was last week, I was certainly looking at, well, at some stage this is going to go. Now, to confirm it for the downside, it needs to break back below these lows here. Once it's done that, I'm then looking as a short trader. Otherwise, you look at what's happening in the bigger picture here, and it's come down to its daily 50. That's maybe just a blip on something that's going to continue, or at least consolidate around that previous pivotal area, I should say, previous highs and lows. Aussie dollar. So another one did the blip and came back, and just really is following in line with what was happening. We've got this current buys selling at the moment. We're seeing a bit of selling coming through here. It's hardly, when you discounting the price, the reaction there, it's just a very slow upward trade channel that's running there. Trend, that's the word. I'll get there. I thought Biden was bad. US dollar CAD, give it a few years, guys. Still sitting around here. I'm still expecting this to break a bit more meaningfully at some stage. It has got to get below that level, but it spiked yesterday but came back very, very quickly. Effectively, there we go. Like most of the markets here, it was edging down there, but it spends a lot of time in these sideward price actions, and we could see it sort of doing that again where it is. I'd rather it start moving to the south side. New Zealand dollar following the there we go. It's following the line. It's trying to follow the lines of the Australian dollar, but nowhere near the same oomph in there now. It's really sort of got a bit spoiled, and we're seeing this price action here. I mean, it came back even more than it was going in that upward trend. Maybe it's trying to get back in that upward trend, but it came back a long way the other way. It went beyond the lows, took the lows out here, and it just makes me wonder if this morning we can just wait and see what happens at the close of these bars and see if it starts heading south. If everything starts selling, well, this one would be quite good down towards yesterday's lows and the yesterday's lows, Wednesday's lows, and the S1. Okay, I'm going to leave the currencies there, the majors, for now. We'll come back to those in the room in a short while. We'll have a quick look at gold. So gold saw some benefits yesterday. At the moment, again, it's pulling back there, but still around lovely times. Higher lows coming through, still looking like, well, just a bull flag in the big scheme of things. Again, here it's a case of just waiting, see how it reacts off today's daily. There is a nice flaggy pattern. It was already pushing up there. It might want to pull back a little bit more to get back in line, but or just run sidewards, and it might be a bit ugly if it runs sidewards too long. Oil, oops, we'll press that one. So oil still pushing up here on the hourlies, and it's sort of just returning its move there. Now, I was just reading about oil a moment ago, and it's the ING, the company I quite like for their analysis, is suggesting that we could see this pushing if through $80 to $88 they have as an end of year sort of target. Well, this where it's sitting at the moment is looking quite positive. We're running into what's referred to as driving season. This is the time when the Americans used to burn a lot of oil driving around and running their air conditioning probably, but more so driving, and it had quite an impact on US reserves, etc. historically. So oil prices did used to start moving. Anyway, we'll see what happens. It is looking a little bit more biased towards the upside over the last couple of days at least. It turned nicely there, but the higher low in structurally is looking a bit more bullish at the moment. S&Ps, well, it's going to be same old, is it? Oh no, that's a bit of a surprise, he says. It popped and dropped yesterday. Just a bit of maybe profit taking coming through there. Popped in there on the actual news itself. Is that on the news itself? No, that was a bit later. Okay, there may be a different driver there. The news itself popped it, but there was selling coming in obviously at those sort of levels. And since it's gone a bit ugly, and I'd never like consolidation around the lows of this. In fact, it's a bear flag effectively. Potential to roll over. Patience will be needed on this, but the potential's there. But I would be only looking at that as a short-term potential, because the long-term still looks pretty bullish at the moment. I know everyone wants to short all these things because they're going up. Let's catch the top, rather than let's just wait until it shows me its hand. Yeah, sorry, I'm going through Nasdaq on different time frames, just having a quick look at that. But similar picture there, bearish engulfing, quite an ugly bar, and we might just see some follow through from that today. Bearing in mind it couldn't do too much, but the inflation that we see this afternoon could be the catalyst. Dow Jones, ugly as sin, isn't it? I was just sort of coming down the time frames in it, but it is pushing to the upside. Still, and the DAX similar here, a little bit more bullish. And we've seen this, but certainly with the Dow lately, that when the others are just having a little bit of a retrace, it's managing just to continue on its path to catch up towards its highs. And the DAX here is looking relatively bullish at the moment. If it runs through that R1, the R2 could be online, and we could be taking out these prior highs. The FTSE still not really particularly clear. It's not taking the usual plunge it would have done on the Labour Party being voted in. It's holding up. Is that because they thought things couldn't get any worse, or the fact that they're largely treating things or continuing with things as was? And I'm sure they'll be claiming that the increase of growth yesterday was due to them. Right. Anyway, so it does look bullish. It has got a bit of a range there, and it's a bit of a range away from the highs. I never really liked that, but it is looking bullish there on the FTSE, more bullish. Anyway, on that note, I think I'll end it there for you guys on YouTube. I wish you a great weekend. If you're trading the likes of Bitcoin, etc., do trade carefully. Don't get driven into the hype. Look at the technicals. And I will see you Monday. Take care. Bye for now.